I would like to invite the co-chairman to proceed with the 62nd Annual General Meeting, AGM, of the company as the requisite quorum was present to clause 70 at the company's constitution.
Thank you, Ms. Shakira. With that, I am pleased to confirm the presence of the requisite quorum at the commencement of this meeting. I hereby call this meeting to order. Assalamualaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the directors, I would like to welcome you to the 62nd Annual General Meeting of SIP Local BERHAD. For those who did not attend the AGM held at 10 a.m. this morning, my name is Tengku Nadirah binti Muhammad Zaki and I am the Executive Chairman of SIP Local BERHAD and I will be the chair of today's AGM. Ms. Shakira, you may introduce the board members.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to introduce you the board members, Mrs. Nur Akila, Chief Executive Officer, Mrs. Erwisa, Director of Group Finance, Mrs. Nur Aniah Ashikin, Mrs. Damia, Mr. Izzat, and Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Nasuha. On my right, I may introduce Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahmi Amzar, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Daniel, and Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syafiq. From my left, Puan Siti Zulaika, Puan Khairina, and Puan Nur Fartina Balkis. Thank you for being present in this meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate Ms. Shakira for introducing our esteemed board members. Now, would you like to inform the audiences on the notice and meeting procedures of today's annual general meeting?
Yes, Tengku Chairman. Well, without delay, I would like to inform you that the notice calling the AGM and administrative details for the AGM were included in the abridged version of the company's annual report 2023, which had already been dispatched to all shareholders on 19 December 2023. The company had disclosed publication of the AGM documents on the company's website in the administrative details for the AGM and emailed the related notification to shareholders. Moving on to the company, had received 3 proxy forms in total from shareholders holding a total of 317,780,878 shares, representing approximately 86.64% of company's total issued shares. Out of the proxy forms received, 193 shareholders had appointed of the chairman at the meeting as the proxy to vote on their behalf for 23,799,621 shares in total, held by them, representing approximately 6.49% of the company's total issued share.
Thank you, Ms. Shakira. Do you mind explaining the polling procedures for today's meeting?
Tengku Chairman, as required by paragraph 8.29A of the listing requirement of the Bursa Malaysia Securities BERHAD, all ordinary resolutions as set out in the notice calling the meeting were to be voted on by poll. An independent scrutineer, Ms. Ainun Bashira, was to be appointed to validate the vote cast. For this purpose, Boardroom Share Registrar Sendirian BERHAD had been appointed as the poll administrator and Asia Securities Sendirian BERHAD as the independent scrutineer to verify and confirm the poll results. Next, affirmative votes of more than half of the members, proxy, corporate representative would be who were present and voted at the meeting would be required to pass all the resolution to be put for voting. Voting for all the resolution would take place upon conclusion of deliberation of all business of the meeting. So during registration of a QR code had been generated for members, proxies, or corporate representatives to scan and access to e-polling system and to vote using their smartphone or tablets when the 10 minutes voting session was open. The word room will brief on the voting procedures before the start of the voting session.
Thank you, Ms. Shakira. Mrs. Akila, the CEO of SIP Local BERHAD, can you present the performance highlights of SIP Local BERHAD for financial year 2023?
Thank you, Yang Amat Mulia, Tengku Chairman. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for coming today to a series of presentations that will describe our performance highlights of the SIP Local BERHAD for financial year 2023. In a moment, I will set the scene for the morning by summarizing the key terms. As we can see here, today's presentation covers 4 themes that included financial year 2023, financial year 2024 and beyond, the SIP Local BERHAD sustainability agenda, and lastly, closing remarks. Throughout our financial year 2023, the first half of the year was tough due to the rising commodity prices. However, it has been greatly mitigated by the effective strategies we have put in place to manage market risk and exposure. The group revenue was RM 4,470.2 million, which increased 8.2% from the period of previous year. Group operating profit decreased from RM 472.3 million to RM 447.9 million in the previous year. And I would like to highlight that our group operating profit margin is now declining to 5.2%. This page provides analysis of our financial year revenue and operating profits of food and beverage in Malaysia. Both of the margin have increased, where revenue is increasing 13.5% and the profit now is 71.9%. The strong double-digit growth in revenue and profits driven by economic recovery, higher sales, improved margins, and operational saving from completed projects. Moving on, meanwhile, the food and beverage analysis in Thailand provides different results where the revenue increased 2.7%, the increase of 7.6% in Thai baht. The operating profit decreased to 25.3%, that declining to 21.7% in Thai baht from previous year due to the higher commodity costs and forex impact from strong US dollar. This page shows detail of our export revenue and cost of goods sold result by region where margins improved to price increase. As for the final dividend, it was maintained at 33 cents per share with the recommendation by directors for approval by shareholders at the forthcoming annual general meeting. For your information, the entitlement date is now on 4th March 2024 and the date of payment will be on 15 March 2024. The SIP local BERHAD's aspiration for sustainability growth and key initiative will be include facilities investment. SIP local BERHAD is also investing in its brand, and we announced that this month that we will introduce our new integrated office in Shah Alam. We intend to create a high-quality office environment with an open concept office, collaboration space, and hybrid working environment. Our products are now powered by solar. This also translates to 90,000 tons of carbon emissions reduction a year and save up to Rm 4 million in electricity costs. Re-energize for growth. Dear respected shareholders and directors, for your information, we are driving growth and value with dairy farming. Why we choose dairy farming? We are planning to make fresh milk affordable in Malaysia and a healthier nation. For your information, in Vietnam, for every 1 liter of fresh milk consumed, Vietnamese only consume 0.1 liter of powdered milk. This is because Vietnam and China have actually been able to replace imported milk powder with local fresh milk over the last 20 years. It is quite different from Malaysia, where for every 1 liter of fresh milk, Malaysians consume 8 liters of powdered milk. Therefore, we can play a role in making fresh milk affordable and contribute towards food security in Malaysia, since Malaysia also ranks high for type 2 diabetes high blood pressure. Moreover, this can contribute to one step towards the National Food Security Agenda for dairy and beef. There are two forms of our contribution to food security, which are fresh milk and beef. Next, Cocoa Lands brings synergistic value to the group. The acquisition of Cocoa Land presents the group with the potential to expand its market presence, diversify its product offering, and capitalize on synergies in distribution and consumption acquisition. With a focus on the halal food segment and a significant presence in the packaged food category, the acquisitions align with the group's strategic objective of growth and expansion. Re-energizing brands. We gladly inform you that 100 Plus is honored to be awarded the Platinum Award in the non-alcoholic beverage category at the Putra Brands Award 2023. The next continuing initiative of SIP Local BERHAD is by introducing new packaging and new portfolio including plant-based beverage and health wellness product. The brand new non-carbonated 100 Plus Pro High Protein is one of the initiatives, which this drink is formulated to support hydration and promote muscles recovery at different phases of fitness activities. Not to forget, the new refreshed look of CSD in all fan favorites flavors such as orange, syrup, grape, and strawberry. The SIP Local BERHAD Sustainability Agenda. The SIP Local BERHAD is focusing on creating value for stakeholders. In order to be sustained for a better business, we concentrated on sustainable palm oil, which resulted in the company that is the highest scoring Asian company in WWF Palm Oil Buyers Scorecard 2021 and Halal Achievement Award 2022. In the aspect of better society, we ensure the well-being of people and communities by producing 58% of our products that comply with national nutritional guidelines and 68% certificate with Healthier Choice logo. Additionally, over 90% of RTD beverage sold are with less sugar and considered as healthier option. Last but not least, for a better planet, we enhance security and environmental protection by integrating warehouses in Thailand and Malaysia. Awards and recognitions. Let's go through the external validation and recognition received by the SIP Local BERHAD for the efforts towards excellence in ESG practices. SIP Local BERHAD remain as the constituent of FTSE For Good Bursa Malaysia Index for the 4th consecutive year and FTSE For Good Bursa Malaysia Sharia Index for the 2nd consecutive year with an improved score of 4.4 in September 2023 from 4.1 last year. Apart from that, we emerged as one of the top decile companies in the S&P CSA and ranked among the top 10 companies out of 89 companies assessed in the beverage industry. Our company currently scores 71 out of 100. Notably, the SIP Local BERHAD achieved the 4th highest score of the social dimensions. And lastly, we received the Age ESG Award as top 3 performance in Asia and best performing company in consumer products and services. Closing remarks. Lastly, for the closing remark, as we can see here, our company's commitment to a long-term sustainability and growth through a strategic focus on food and beverage market, expansions of export, and the incorporation of new growth pillars such as agriculture and dairy farming. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude the presentation with an aspiration that we have re-energized. Thus, this is a time for us to change and grow both our entities and new business to bring SIP Local BERHAD to the next level. Our ultimate goal is to become the largest food and beverage company in Malaysia and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Akila. The first item on the agenda is to receive the audited financial statements for the financial year ended 30 September 2023 and the reports of the directors and auditors thereon. I would like to invite Mrs. Arwisa as the Director, Group Finance, to present to the floor regarding the questions received from the shareholders before our meeting on receipt of audited financial statements for the financial year ended 30 September 2023, together with reports of directors and auditors.
Thank you, Yang Amat Mulia Tengku Chairman. After gathering all the questions before the meeting, there are 3 questions that we get from the shareholders. The first question is about the current and targeted financial contributions of the halal packaged food segment. Currently, the halal packaged food business generates around 10% of the group's revenue. Cocoland Holdings BERHAD achieved 230.9 million in sales and a profit of 28 million in the fiscal years ended 30 June 2023. In terms of financial contributions, we intend to build the halal packaged food category into another broad pillar over the next 3 to 5 years. Next question is, how does the group plan to grow the segment? We have a multifaceted plan in a plan to expand the category. To begin with, we just acquired Srinona Group and more recently, Cocoland Holdings BERHAD, which will boost our presence in the halal packaged food category. These purchases open up new markets, products and distributions methods for us. Furthermore, we will prioritize organic growth by using both organizations' capabilities to create synergistic benefits for our shareholders. We are now in the integration process and will provide further information as soon as it is available. Next, we are going to discuss the third questions. For your information, SIP Local hired external consultant Aeon Malaysia Sendirian BERHAD, Aeon, to evaluate its directors' remunerations in October 2023. Aeon benchmarked SIP Local directors' compensations for financial year 2023 against 36 listed firms of comparable size and operational environment as the company for this exercise. According to the SIP Local Directors' Remunerations Policy, which was reviewed and approved on August 6, 2019, the competitiveness of total remunerations is assessed against companies in the food and beverages industry. Companies with good corporate governance practices, companies of similar asset size, and companies where the company's directors are on board. So the shareholders want to know who made the decisions on the scope of firms to be reviewed, the board or the external consultant Aeon. To answer the questions, It is the board of directors who determine the scope of companies to be evaluated. They gave the independent consultant, Ayon, a brief in which they stated that the evaluation should be undertaken against firms in the food and beverage industries. Companies with solid corporate governance processes and companies of similar asset size. As the independent consultant, Ayon was in charge of finding and choosing the firms that would be included in the panel report. They did research and analysis to identify whether firms matched the board's requirement and were deemed suitable for benchmarking purposes. The chosen firms were subsequently included in the evaluation, which was then presented to the board for consideration. I hope all of the answers to the queries raised by our shareholders are apparent. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Erisa Safira. Now we are open to any questions from the floor.
Hello, good morning. My name is Mrs. Wan Amira Diana binti Wan Hadzi. I have 3 inquiries regarding the group plans to expand its export business. Firstly, my question is, will the company pay a greater dividend after purchasing cocoa land, given more revenue projected from cocoa land? My second question, as there will be significant increases in marketing and distribution expenses, as well as the cost for building brand recognition in new market, so how the group ensure that its profit margin remain intact? My last question is related to the group milk business, which face intense competition from various brands. My question is, how can the group remain competitive and improve its profit margin in this market? That's all my questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Diana, for your questions. To address your first question, before declaring or proposing dividends, the board will assess the company cash flow status and investment needs. Cocoa land contributions may be utilized to partially support the group capital initiative. For the second question, the group will need to allocate resources towards brand building and marketing efforts in order to drive sales and profit growth. Additionally, there may be additional costs associated with logistics for exporting products. The management will conduct thorough research before entering or investing in any new markets for expansions. In response to your third question, Malaysia has a high demand for fresh milk imports, presenting an opportunity for the group fresh milk farming business. By lowering the value chain cost per litre through this initiative, the group can lessen its reliance on imported milk, which can ultimately improve profit margins.
Hello, my name is Nik Putri Elena binti Amrai. I have a question. In regards to the dairy farming industry, where are the technology and experience coming from, and when will the business be expected to turn a profit for the group?
Thank you, Mrs. Nick, for your question. In response to your questions, the group will collaborate with relevant advisors and partners, mostly from the United States and China, to help plan and construct its integrated dairy farm and effectively manage the dairy farming enterprise. The company must attain economies of scale, which likely before it can turn to a profit. It must first achieve the cost efficiency with at least 5,000 milking cows.
Hi, morning. My name is Azatul Aisha. So my question is, what about the projected profit and the percentage of the profit on the overall basis from the group's dairy farming operations for the next 3 to 5 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aizatul, for your question. Similar to other CAPES projects, the dairy farming project was assessed by management based on a number of factors, including the anticipated cash flow over a 10-year period. Based on the prediction, a high single-digit percentage internal rate of return was anticipated for the project.
Hello, my name is Nuriwani Izati and I have a question. May I know about the company's dividend policy? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iwani. The company does not have any dividend policy, and dividend payments are determined by the company's cash flow position and investment requirements. Despite challenges, the company seeks to maintain the existing dividend rate and will consider paying a greater payout when the dairy farming sector is stable.
Sorry to interrupt. My name is Nur Hazira Izadi. Here I have 3 questions. The first question is, to what extent does the group rely on foreign laborer? Next, what proportion of overall cost does the group's cost of raw material represent? And another question is, does management have a strategy in place to lessen the possibility that Malaysia may experience to protracted the drought?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Hazira. There is an excessive reliance on foreign labor and the group activities are largely mechanized. Regarding material costs, the export company can only partially hedge this risk because the company bears a significant percentage of the input costs in US dollars. In response of the second query, management plans to use 5% of the newly acquired property to lessen the effects of a protected drought for the company's group dairy farming as a reservoir for water and also to have insurance coverage to guard against monetary losses.
Is there any question from the floor? Alright then. Thank you, Mrs. Arisa, Ms. Shakira, and Mrs. Akila. Now, we will move into the second item, Ordinary Resolution 1, payment of a final single-tier dividend of 33 cents per share for the financial year ended 30 September 2023. Ms. Shakira, you may proceed.
Thank you, Tengku Chairman. Resolution 1 authorized the payment of a final single-tier dividend of 33 cents per share for the fiscal year ending 30 September 2023. The dividend will be paid on 15 March 2024 if approved. The total dividend for the fiscal year will be 60 cents per share, including the interim dividend of 27 cents per share paid on 31st May 2023. Is there anything that needs to be clarified or explained further?
May I have a proposal for the resolution if there is no query from the floor?
I, Aisha, propose that resolution 1 to be approved.
Could I get a seconder for the resolution?
I second that resolution 1 be approved.
Thank you, Ms. Aizatul Aisha and Yang Berhadi Ratu Syami. Let us move to the third item on the agenda, that is the re-election of myself, Tengku Nadirah binti Muhammad Zaki, as stated in Resolution 2, Mrs. Nur Zafirah Damia binti Yatin Mustafa, as stated in Resolution 3, and Mrs. Nur Fartina Balkis binti Pauzi, as stated in Resolution 4, who retired in accordance with the company's constitution. We offered ourselves for re-election as directors. As I was for the re-election of retiring under Clause 100 of the company's constitution, I will hand the chair to Mrs. Aimia, an independent director, to proceed with the consideration of the resolution.
Thank you, Tengku Chairman. The resolution for consideration is that Tengku Nadirah binti Muhammad Zaki, a director retiring pursuant to Section 129, Subsection 2 of the Companies Act 1965B, and is hereby reappointed a director of the company to hold office until the next AGM. If there is any question, you may ask now. It seems that there is no question from the floor. So may I have a proposal as seconder for the appointment of Tengku Nadirah binti Muhammad Zaki?
I, Nur Hazira Izati, propose that resolution 2 be approved. I, Nur Hadina, I seconded that resolution 2 be approved.
Thank you, Ms. Hazira and Puan Khairina. The director standing for appointment has undergone a performance evaluation and has demonstrated that she remains committed to the role and continues to be an effective and valuable member of the board. Congratulations, Tengku Chairman. I shall now pass the chair back to Tengku Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Aimia. And a big thank you too to shareholders for reappointing me to the board. Now, we shall continue to the next agenda. The next resolutions and any other business will be continued by Ms. Shakira.
Thank you, Tengku Chairman. As informed earlier by Tengku Chairman, our third resolution is re-election of Mrs. Nur Zafira Damia binti Yatim Mustafa, retiring under Clause 100 of the company's constitution. Is there anyone on the floor with any questions regarding the third resolution?
If there are no questions, can someone propose for the third resolution to be approved?
I, Nik Putri, propose that resolution 3 be approved.
Could I get a seconder for the resolution?
I, Nur Iwani, second that third resolution to be approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Nik and Mrs. Iwani. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of Mrs. Nur Fartina Balkis binti Pauzi, who retires under Clause 106 of the company's constitution. Are there any questions from the floor?
Okay then, may I have a proposer and seconder from the floor for the re-election of Mrs. Nur Fartina Balkis binti Pauzi?
I, Nur Hazira Izzati, propose that resolution 4 be approved.
I'm Siti Zulaika. I seconded that resolution 4 be approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hazira and Puan Siti Zulaika.
Thank you very much. Let us proceed to Resolution 5, which calls for the appointment of Director Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Muhammad Syahmi Amzar bin Ibrahim, who was also retiring in line with Clause 100 of the company's constitution, said that he would not run for re-election. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahmi will step down as a director of the company at the conclusion of this AGM. Resolution 5 concerns the nomination of Mr. Muhammad Nur Fahmi bin Zainal as a director of the company to replace the upcoming vacancy caused by the retirement of Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahmi Amzar bin Ibrahim. Mr. Muhammad Nur Fahmi bin Zainal will be named as a non-independent non-executive director if shareholders approve this resolution. And Mr. Fahmi's tenure will begin following the completion of this AGM. The company's board of a director, through the nominating committee, studied and analysed Mr. Muhammad Nur Fahmi bin Zainal proposed appointment and recommended Mr. Fahmi's nomination for shareholders' approval. The profile of Mr. Muhammad Nur Fahmi bin Zainal may be found on page 304 and 305 of the company's annual report 2023 under the statement accompanying notice of AGM. Is there anything the floor would like to ask?
Hi, I am Nohatiza. So my question is, how does the board of directors ensure a smooth and effective succession planning process for every executive position?
Thank you for your inquiry. According to the company's constitution, all directors depart by rotation. The company's longest-serving director will retire and run for re-election at the AGM. The nominating committee always actively considers the board's succession planning. In examining the board composition, the nominating committee will take into account the board skill set and metrics, gender diversity, and other relevant factors. The nominating committee will go through an intensive process to find the best candidate before proposing candidates to the board to fill any vacancies on the board.
Sorry for interrupt.
The nominating committee evaluates the board composition on a regular basis and, if required, offer suitable recommendation to renew the board.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk Nasuha for the clarification. Is there any questions from the floor?
If there is no other questions, may I have a proposer and seconder from the floor for the resolution 5 to be approved?
My name is Shutanauda and I propose that resolution 5 be approved.
My name is Karina and I seconded that resolution 5 to be approved.
Thank you, Ms. Shazana and Puan Kai.
Thank you, Mrs. Shazana and Puan Nur Khairina Iman. Next is Resolution 6 sought shareholder approval for the company to pay directors' fees and benefits, directors' remuneration of up to 1,810,000 ringgit. 2033 AGM up to 1,500,000 ringgit from 1 March 2024 until the company's next annual general meeting in February 2025. The director's remuneration was assessed by taking numerous aspects into consideration, including the proposed increase in directors' fees and modification made to directors in meeting allowance to reflect current market price, as noted in explanatory note 4 to the notice of AGM. The acceptance of this resolution by shareholders would allow for the ongoing payment of directors' remuneration and meeting allowance monthly in arrears for each month of completed service by the directors during the aforementioned term. I shall now put forward the resolution to the floor for the questions, if any.
I have a question. My name is Shutanauda, and can you justify the proposed increase in directors' remuneration, and is there any proposal that has been taken into account by the board's performance in terms of the profit achieved and dividend payout?
Mrs. Anis Afika, if you don't mind, can you answer the question?
Sure, Tengku Chairman. Thank you for your inquiry. As you are all aware, I am Anis Afika, one of AM Malaysia's BERHAD representatives. For our company, we compare the director's remuneration to that of comparable publicly traded firms of similar size and or operational climate. The company's average director's pay and total director's remuneration were compared to those of the aforementioned firms to ensure that the company's pay plan is competitive but not exorbitant following the proposed increase in directors' remuneration. The exercise also considered directors' role and obligations mainly in terms of corporate governance and defining strategy for the company's future, but not the company's yearly dividend rates.
May I add another Yang Amat Mulia Tengku Chairman? Furthermore, while management is accountable for attaining the group plan's profit, the board is always dedicated to playing a role in protecting shareholders' long-term interests and guiding management in generating long-term shareholders' value.
Sorry for the interruption.
Before recommending dividend rates to the board for approval, the audit committee evaluates a variety of criteria, including the company's profitability and cash flow. Despite a fall in the company's earnings for various fiscal years, the company has paid a total dividend of 60 cents per share for each fiscal year. Even in difficult circumstances, the board tries to assure a sustainable dividend distribution to shareholders.
Any other questions from the floor? Can someone propose and second the resolution to be approved?
My name is Daniel. I propose that resolution 6 to be approved.
My name is Noortina Balkis. I seconded that resolution 6 to be approved.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Muhammad Daniel and Mrs. Fartina Balkis. Let us proceed to Resolution 7, which is the reappointment of KPMG Public Limited as the company's auditor for the fiscal year ending 30 September 2023 at a salary to be determined by the Board of Directors. Are there any further questions from the floor?
May I have a proposal for the resolution?
I, Nur Hazira Izzati, propose that Resolution 7 be approved.
May I have a seconder for the resolution?
I, Siti Zulaika, I seconded that Resolution 7 be approved.
Thank you, Puan Siti Zulaika and Ms. Hazira. Next, I would like to bring your attention to Resolution 8 on the agenda. Resolution 8 seeks your approval for the proposed renewal of authority for the company to purchase its own shares, up to 10% of the issued shares. The full details of the proposal can be found in the share buyback statement, which was sent to shareholders on 19 December 2023. It outlines the purpose, rationale, and procedure of the share buyback. The objective behind this renewal of authority is to provide the company with flexibility and opportunities to enhance shareholder value in the long run. Now, I'd like to open the floor to the questions.
If there is no question, can someone please propose that the minutes be passed as a true record?
I, Hafiza, I propose that the minutes to be passed as a true record.
I, Muhammad Shafiq, I seconded the motion.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Hafizah and Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Shafiq. Let's move on to the next resolution, Ms. Secretary.
Thank you, Yang Ahmad Mulia Tengku. The other special business is on Resolution 9, which seeks your approval for the renewal of the existing mandate and new mandate for the recurrent related party transaction of revenue or trading nature. These transactions are necessary for the day-to-day operation of SIP Local BERHAD. This recurrent related party transaction and the related parties under the renewal of the existing shareholders mandate remain unchanged. The transaction will be carried out at arm's length and on normal commercial terms of SIP Local BERHAD. You can find more details in the circular to shareholders dated 19 December 2023. I would like to highlight that the company's major shareholder, SIP Local Limited, and its respective related companies and persons who are interested parties under this proposal will abstain from voting on this resolution. Furthermore, Mrs. Nur Zafira Damia, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahmi Amzar, Mr. Izzat, Mrs. Nur Fatira Balkis, who are nominee directors of SIP Local Limited, and Tengku Chairman, a director of SIP Local Limited, are considered interested in this proposal. They have each abstained from making any recommendation to shareholders on this resolution. Additionally, they have declined to accept appointment as proxy for any shareholders unless specific instructions are given in the proxy form. Are there any questions or clarifications regarding Resolution 9?
If there is no question, can someone please propose that the minutes be passed as a true record?
I, Hafiza, I propose that the minute to be passed as true record.
I, Shafi, I second the motion.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Hafizah and Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahmi. Item 11 of the agenda is to transact any other business for which due notice shall have been given. I have been informed by the company secretary that there is no other business to be transacted. Before we proceed to conduct the poll for all resolutions, may I request the poll administrator to explain the polling procedures?
Now, I am inviting Mrs. Hana, a boardroom representative, to present on the e-polling procedure using Boardroom's e-vote app.
Thank you, Ms. Shakira. First, when you registered, you should have received a passcode slip. After that, go to the voting station and use the passcode slip to cast your ballot. By choosing the appropriate option and clicking submit, you can cast your vote. The notification votes have been successfully cast will appear after a successful submission. You will not be able to change your vote once it has been submitted. That's all I have to say. Now I hand it back to Tengku Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Shakira and Mrs. Hannah. The voting on all the resolutions and the validations of the vote cast will take approximately 10 minutes to completion. I also now declare voting open, and voting will close at 11 a.m. and I will give you a reminder before I move to close voting. Please ensure you have cast your vote on all resolutions. There are 5 minutes left for voting. Voting has now closed. Meeting adjourned. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The results of the poll are already in my hands, and the meeting shall resume now for the declarations of results. Ladies and gentlemen, the results of the poll for Resolution 1 until 9 are shown on the screens. Ordinary Resolution 1. This resolution was passed with almost unanimous support as 99.9997% of the shares voted for it and only 800 shares, 0.0003% voted against it. As for Ordinary Resolution 2, this resolution was passed with a clear majority as 81.795% of the shares voted for it and 18.2044% of the shares voted against it. However, this resolution had the highest number of votes against it. As for Ordinary Resolution 3, this resolution was passed with a large majority as 98.2987% of the shares voted for it and 1.7013% of the shares voted against it. Ordinary Resolution 4. This resolution was passed with a large majority as 98.3496% of the shares voted for it and 1.6504% of the shares voted against it. Ordinary Resolution 5. This resolution was passed with almost unanimous support as 99.9165% of the shares voted for it and 0.0835% of the shares voted against it. Ordinary Resolution 6. This resolution was passed with almost unanimous support as 99.984% of the shares voted for it and 0.0153% of the shares voted against it. Ordinary Resolution 7. This resolution was passed with a large majority as 99.6599% of the shares voted for it and 0.3401% of the shares voted against it. As for the Ordinary Resolution 8, this resolution was passed with almost unanimous support as 99.9524% of the shares voted for it and 0.0476% of the shares voted against it. As for the last ordinary resolutions, Ordinary Resolution 9, this resolution was passed with almost unanimous support as 99.9988% of the shares voted for it and 0.0012% of the shares voted against it. Based on the poll results, I shall declare that all resolutions tabled at the AGM were carried. I shall now declare the meeting closed. On behalf of the board, I thank you for your attendance today.